Welcome, visibility hackers, to the show about shows. Welcome to this week's episode of The Showcase. I'm your host, Coach Molle from Visibility Hacking Studios, and today we're going to reflect on one of the most powerful marketing messages I've ever gotten. The biggest, most important marketing lesson I have ever gotten, which was to throw rocks at your enemies. We're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at some of the best examples of shows that you can start doing right now, because that's what we do here on the Showcase. And so today we are going to be diving into the David Pakman show. This is a long-running show that's on the YouTube platform. It's on podcast format. They've got a great Patreon. They got a whole fantastic community behind them. And today we're going to be looking at their main episodes and how we can use that same format and framework. Now, I know I opened this episode by talking about the most powerful lesson in marketing that I've ever gotten, and that is all about throwing rocks at your enemies. So the idea is, if you want to build a community around you, you want to build a deep, strong community of people behind your movement, then you need to define who is in your movement and who is not part of your movement. The in crowd and the out crowd, in other words. And part of doing that is to start throwing rocks at your enemies, the things, the people, the beliefs that are holding you back, to stand tall and to throw rocks at them, meaning to call them out publicly. And that's what we create content about. But to throw rocks at your enemies is what's going to start to attract your ideal customers, your ideal members of your movement to you and your message. And I think that political shows do this so beautifully. And yes, there is a fine line there, and some shows do teeter a little bit onto one side that is a little bit more contentious, creates a little bit more of a violent divide, rather than doing it in a more intellectual, smart kind of way, which is what I think we can use to talk about in today's episode. So let's talk about the David Pakman show, and let's just take a look at it. So this is the David Pakman's show YouTube channel. You can see that he's got quite a few followers. 1.47 million people watch this content, or at least subscribe to this content. Seems like plenty more actually watch the content. And what is great about this is he follows the same format on a regular basis. So every day, if we look over here in his videos, we can see that every day there's going to be one of these longer episodes, about an hour long. These episodes are his main pieces of content. These are his live show episodes. They're not necessarily live. But each of these main episodes is kind of like the nightly news, where it's built out of different segments and different stories. This is a fabulous way to create a show, especially if you're just getting started. You don't need to have your own expertise. You can simply talk about things that are happening within your niche or your industry, or stories that would be relatable to your ideal customer. So start out by brainstorming a bunch of great ideas for story topics. Look at different newsletters, maybe industry emails or newsletter lists that you're on. These are great places to gather this kind of information. Then what he does is he takes those individual stories and creates segments that are spliced together to create the whole episodes. This is pretty smart, to be completely honest, because it gives the life cycle of your content a different look. I'm always talking about using YouTube as a search engine, looking at your content in terms of its longevity and its ability to last throughout the ages so that you can accumulate all of those different searches. On the other hand, when you have like a news show, a lot of the topics you're talking about have a much shorter lifespan, but can also reappear. So it takes a little bit of finessing, but as you produce content, as you produce more and more episodes of your news show, you'll see where your audience is engaging, what stories are they more interested in, which direction would they like you to look a little bit further. So there's that. there's also a really fantastic thing about creating a nightly news show or a show based on the nightly news format. And that is that because you're talking about different topics that are interesting, you're doing what we call riding the noise or riding the wave. What you're able to do is actually piggyback on interesting topics, trending topics, topics that your audience is always looking for, like constantly being on top of what your audience is looking for. Therefore, boosts your SEO rankings overall because you're constantly going to be searching for those new trending topics rather than focusing on topics that might not be getting as many search results. Pretty fantastic, if I do say so myself. Now, let me take a moment to remind you that if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to us there. You can also come hang out in the Visibility Hackers Facebook group. We got tons of places. Shout outs to all of you guys watching live. Shout outs to those of you guys on the replay. Let me know if you're live or on the replay in the comments down below. Oh man, okay, so we talked about segments, we talked about stories. Now what happens when you take those individual segments and you put them together? You have the ability to create more space, create more moments of engagement. And that's what the David Pakman Show does really well. At the end of each of those stories, they slot in a little mini ad break or a little mini call to action. A lot of them are, come join us on our socials, like you can see here. Maybe it might be to join their Patreon community. It's to join the upper level of their funnels in order to get you into their world. Yeah, you might subscribe to their content, but they're looking for that next step deeper. And so you can slot in these little mini breaks. Now, they're great in two different ways. On one hand, they're fantastic at promoting yourself and your own offers and the things that are happening within your movement. But they're also fantastic if you want to start making some money with it, to slot in different affiliate offers that would be of interest to your audience. So you don't even need to work on creating the products or services to begin with. You simply share the products or services or offers that give you a little bit of an affiliate kickback, and then it'll keep your show running, at least to get it off the ground. Now let's talk about another cool thing when it comes to deepening community. What I personally found most interesting about the David Pakman Show was actually how he deepens community. So on his episodes, on his show episodes, they're released in video format on YouTube. Publicly available, you don't have to pay for them. This is where you're going to see a lot of those ad breaks, those affiliate offers, those sponsorship posts that we talked about just earlier. But you can also pay for different levels of his Patreon community where you're able to get the exact same show, except all those ad breaks have been taken out. Same content, more efficient way of delivering it, simply by paying a low monthly cost on his Patreon. Pretty cool. But another way to deepen that community, which without asking for a financial exchange, is he has these call-in shows, these episodes where people are able to call in and leave a voicemail, which he engages with on some episodes, but he also has these live call-in shows where he does a call out to all of his social profiles, giving them a heads up that he's going to be live soon, throws everyone the link, everyone logs on, they have a great time, and he's able to live engage with members of his community through his Discord. Pretty cool, I have to say. And that's really easy to enable in your live show content as well. So if you want to have people be able to leave you voicemails, head over to a website called SpeakPipe. If you want them to be able to engage live with you, you can have them live as a guest on your StreamYard with a StreamYard invite, or you can do what David Pakman Show does, and that is to engage on Discord, which is a whole nother platform, which is another can of worms to learn, but it's a really great way of connecting with your people. So you got options, my friends. You got options. So my friends, that is what I have to say about throwing rocks at your enemies. We can actually learn a thing or two about those who throw rocks really, really well. And if you want me to dive into more risque political content, I'm happy to do that because it does such a great job at creating community, dividing out, and pushing away those who are not interested in their topic. And I think that's pretty cool. So, my friends, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. I will see you again very, very soon. Make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. Come hang out with us in the Facebook group. Come join us in the Live Academy program. All the links are down in the description. I will see you again very, very soon. Remember, I love you. Be excellent to each other. Sign up for the Visibility Vault. Get all of our resources absolutely free and so much more. And I will see you again. Remember to go live. Your people are out there waiting for you.